Did you know that Kamala Harris helped to protect a baby harvesting operation? That a man went undercover for 3 years investigating Planned Parenthood and got all these women on tape admitting to breaking only God knows how many federal laws. How they would turn the baby breech and let it come out feet first and start breaking off parts of the baby while it's still alive and save its head for last. And even worse stuff that they were doing. And they were committing felonies, selling those body tissues. I want you to hear some of this.
Having fled in myself, California, decades ago, I'm just watching this on the news, but she seemed to have special animus toward pro-life people.
Yes. Thank you for raising that. So I represent David Daleiden, who is one of the most courageous young Americans I've had the privilege to represent in my 31 years of practicing law. David went undercover in a long-form undercover investigation spanning years, posing as a purchaser of fetal tissue in order to expose Planned Parenthood and National Abortion Federation's systematic violation of federal law. It's illegal in the United States, as it should be in every civilized place, to buy fetal remains for any reason.
It's also illegal in every state to perform a partial birth abortion. Yet that's what these people were doing, and there was no penalty for them.
But there's, in fact, a brisk trade in fetal remains, and Planned Parenthood and its members of the National Abortion Federation members were circumventing or flouting federal law by
Actually, the term that should be used there is violating federal law. They were in violation of federal law. They weren't circumventing anything.
By offering price lists for different parts of fetal remains. And, this is a con on multiple levels. So women who are unsure when they went into a abortion clinic what they should do. They're in a crisis. Their boyfriend has abandoned them. One of the selling points used by these abortion merchants is, the remains of your child will go to a good cause. They'll be used for research. It's illegal to sell those remains, but actually, Planned Parenthood clinics were caught offering them for sale to researchers. And so David busted them by taping in San Francisco hotel lobbies at abortion trade shows. Believe it or not, a National Abortion Federation runs trade shows for abortion providers. He collected this testimony, this evidence by himself and with a couple of other helpers over the years, and then exposed it in video recordings that he made public. Now, that would be called
journalism, I think.
It used to be called journalism. Hardly anybody does that work anymore, going undercover like he did. And it was very brave, and it was explosive. As a result of this testimony, several states opened up investigations, and in some states, public funding was stripped from these clinics who did this horrific act of...
Wow. You mean they actually got their funding stripped? Some of the, some of them got taken off Medicaid as providers and all that good stuff, but nobody went to prison. Isn't that interesting? So what did they do about it? They called in their ringer, Kamala Harris, the woman that they had donated millions of dollars toward her campaign. And they donated millions of dollars to Hillary's campaign, Obama's campaign, Chuck Schumer, all these Democrats. You wonder why they love abortion so much. Well, I'll tell you why they love abortion so much, because they're getting paid to love it. I think they'd loved it anyway, because they're demons. And if you ain't put that together yet, I really don't know what to tell you. You know what I've got a problem with? I got a problem with these Christians voting for these demons. Because see, I don't believe they're Christians. I don't believe you can be a Christian and vote for them. You know, everybody's coming together talking about how she's, you know, don't like Catholics and this. No, she don't like Christians. Don't matter if you're a Catholic, a Baptist, Methodist, any Christian, she don't like you. And I can prove it. See this right here? This is proof positive. She don't like Christians.
As he intended. Jesus is Lord.
I played that one first so you could hear that the man in the crowd and more than one person said, Jesus is Lord. Now I'm going to let you hear what she had to say about it.
With the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade, and they did as he intended. Oh, you guys are at the wrong rally.
How about that? They cut out so you couldn't hear what he said there and had people hollering boo. But you heard at the first one what they said. And that was her reply. Oh, you guys came to the wrong rally. I'd take her at her word. If you think you're a Christian and you go to her rally, you in the wrong place. You know, they want to talk about how all these Catholics are still voting for them. And then you got these so-called 32 million evangelical Christians that don't vote. That ain't gonna vote for him. I'm gonna tell you something, shame on you. If you sit home and you don't go vote for that man, you're voting for her. And God's gonna hold you accountable. I'm just gonna be honest with you, I'm sick to death of so-called Christians. They're supporting this. You can't be a Christian and support this. And you will stand before God and be judged for it. Make no mistake about it. You will stand before Him and be judged on this. Keep that in mind. Here's some more information about what she did to the man that exposed Planned Parenthood.
Nucatola, Planned Parenthood's Director of Medical Services, an abortion provider discussing how to collect body parts from aborted fetuses over lunch at a California restaurant.
A series of sting videos that appear to reveal Planned Parenthood negotiating prices for fetal tissue.
And they're talking about wanting to buy Lamborghinis.
I want a Lamborghini.
And they're talking about how they do it so that they don't ruin the specimens and crushing this part of the baby.
They're very good at getting parts on the basically crush below, I'm going to crush above, and I'm going to see if I can get it intact.
We have independent colleagues who generate a fair amount of income doing that.
The video accusing the group of offering to adjust medical procedures in order to preserve tissue and parts for research groups to purchase. There are calls for the Justice Department to investigate.
If we alter a process and we are able to obtain intact fetal cadavers, it's all just a matter of line items.
The National Abortion Federation sued the group over the videos, and in response, a federal judge called William Orrick imposed a gag order in contravention of the First Amendment and common sense. Is Orrick a fair judge? Can he rule on something like this? The judge has strong personal ties to a Planned Parenthood affiliated clinic and ought to recuse himself. You bring to light clearly illegal and appalling and immoral behavior by Planned Parenthood, and then you become the target of a criminal investigation.
Attorney General Kamala Harris, who's fundraising on her website off of Planned Parenthood, got a highly political search warrant to conduct a political raid on my home.
His multi-million-dollar punishment for exposing Planned Parenthood with those undercover videos.
Well. How you like that? And Kamala Harris was the Attorney General that prosecuted this man. He hasn't been sent to prison yet. I stress yet, because they keep moving his trial back and forth. Because no judge really wants to send a journalist to prison. We were just listening to his attorney. I'm going to let you hear a little bit more of what she had to say.
over the years and then exposed it in video recordings that he made public. Now, this was...
That would be called journalism, I think.
It used to be called journalism. Hardly anybody does that work anymore, going undercover like he did. And it was very brave, and it was explosive. As a result of this testimony, several states opened up investigations, and in some states, public funding was stripped from these clinics who did this horrific act of selling human body parts, arms, legs, livers. I mean, there was a price list that these people were circulating. And so this was obviously very upsetting to Big Abortion. So Big Abortion, which is a big supporter of Kamala Harris and other big-time Democrats in California, they can be counted on regularly to contribute millions to their campaigns. So Big Abortion went to Kamala Harris and asked her to prosecute David Daleiden. Now, there's this pesky little problem called the First Amendment. And the First Amendment allows citizens to do journalism. And so multiple jurisdictions in the United States have ruled that journalists going undercover, even if there's a wiretapping statute, are not to be prosecuted for that because of the First Amendment. They're exercising their free speech rights. Well, California has a wiretapping law. It's never been used against a journalist. So it's a single party consent state. So under the rule, both people have to consent to the taping. Now, the exception is if it's in a public place, which most of these tapings, arguably all of these tapings in California were made in a public place. So Kamala Harris ignored the First Amendment and custom made the first prosecution of a journalist in California history. So David Daleiden was indicted for undercover journalism 7 years ago. And his case has been pending now for 7 years in San Francisco Superior Court. Judge after judge after judge has not been willing to send a journalist to prison, not been willing to bring it to a head. And so people just keep changing assignments, and David remains on the hook, paying all this money to defend himself from the charge of doing journalism. And
what penalties does he face?
he faces years in prison if he's convicted.
Did Kamala Harris prosecute any of the companies or people illegally selling baby parts?
No, of course not. There's been no accountability for them.
So
in
she
California.
prosecuted the person who told the truth about what was happening, but not the people who were committing the crime.
That's correct.
That seems evil.
Well, it is evil. I mean, it's characteristic.
Yeah, I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say, yep, that's evil. Now, I'm going to let you hear what the man himself that did it has to say about Kamala Harris.
Search warrant on my home. Kamala Harris. Just 2 weeks before serving the search warrant on my home, Kamala Harris had a secret meeting in Los Angeles with several top-level executives of Planned Parenthood in California. We then found out from the California DOJ investigator reports that Planned Parenthood's top lawyer in California had specifically instructed the California DOJ agents that Planned Parenthood wanted the video equipment and the computers that I was using to publish the videos to be seized, in order to shut me up, in order to prevent me from continuing to publish the truth about Planned Parenthood's involvement in fetal trafficking, and in order to punish me for speaking out with a message that was disfavored by Planned Parenthood and by Kamala Harris in the state of California. I think what people have to understand about organizations like Planned Parenthood and about their political backers like Kamala Harris is that they're shameless, and they will do whatever they have to do in order to promote their agenda. They'll say whatever they have to say, and they are not afraid to use every bit of power at their disposal to force their agenda through. Kamala Harris is the single greatest threat to First Amendment civil liberties that our country has ever seen. If Kamala Harris is elected to be a heartbeat away from the highest office in the United States of America, you will have someone in the White House who has a radical contempt and disrespect for First Amendment civil liberties, someone who believes that she's entitled to use the powers of her office in order to punish the viewpoints of citizens who disagree with her.
Shocking discovery has been made in an Oklahoma City McDonald's.
I said it before, I'm going to say it again. Shame on you if you call yourself a Christian and you're supporting this woman. You notice he said a step away from the presidency. This video was made the last time they stole an election. That was when she was running for vice president. Now she's running to be in the big chair. You okay with that? You okay with supporting that? And make no mistake, if you don't vote, you're supporting it. By not making a choice, you're making a choice. I don't care if you don't like Donald Trump's tweets. I don't care. Grow up. Grow up. We're faced with a bunch of rank devils that'll do anything. The end justifies the means. And there's only one person willing to stand up against them. He has to be rough. I don't know what you people think's going to happen. Do you think Jesus is going to come down here and run for president? The Lord chose a rough man for a reason, because it takes a rough man to deal with devils like that. Get over yourself and do the right thing, or I don't want to hear none of you crying when they come for you. And that's just how it is, because they will be coming for you. These people are rank devils, and they hate Christians. They hate anything decent. It takes a devil to take money from destroying babies. And see, they don't stop there. They don't stop there. They want to come in the schools and tell your grandkids and your kids, it's okay, son, you can be a girl if you want to. Let's just give you these pills and cut your bloodline off. It's okay, honey. Don't worry about it. Just let us cut your breasts off and take your ovaries. You don't have to worry about it. These people are evil. They're going to tell you that there's all this climate problems and global warming and global cooling and climate change. The Lord told us plainly in the Bible that the summer, fall, winter, and spring would always be with us until He returns. They're liars and the truth ain't in them. The EPA was made in the 70s to stop chemical dumping. And instead of going after these big companies for chemical dumping, they all turned it around into a big scam saying, oh, carbon dioxide's going to kill us. That's you breathing. That's right. That's you breathing. You breathe carbon dioxide out. But you know what? Plants breathe it in and exhale oxygen. It's called the cycle of life. I learned about it in the 3rd grade. Maybe you should read a book and stop listening to a bunch of lying rank devils that are running scams that they know is starving people all over the 3rd world and trying to destroy our nation. You know, I always try to find a way to make my videos humorous if possible. I'm just going to be honest with you people. There ain't no way I can make this humorous. There's no way I can make this humorous. It's disgusting. And everybody's got to wake up. And Donald Trump is right. We better make this too big to rig, or it's going to be the end of this country. And you better not just vote for Donald Trump. I know a bunch of them Republicans are rhinos, and they're just as dirty as any Democrat ever thought about being. But at least we'll get some votes out of them for the right thing. And we can hold their feet to the fire and tell them, if you don't vote for the right thing, we'll never vote for you again. And then, in 2 years, primary every one of them that don't vote the way we tell them out. Get rid of them. And make them understand that's what we're going to do if they don't vote the way we say. That's not going to work with them Democrats. They're rank devils. God help us all. God help us all. We got to stand together, or we're going to hang. We're going to hang together. You know, the old saying was, we got to stand together or we're going to hang separately. But I don't think they're going to try to go for that this time. I think they're going to be big batches of us hanging if we don't put a stop to this. Just saying.